I swear that half the reason I do this at all is because I get to control the soundtrack. And that means I get to listen to music that, depending on what it is, may either be everybody knows about it. For instance, everybody knows that Cuphead has a great soundtrack. Or it might be Time Commando, which I'm pretty sure nobody else has heard of ever. And it was just this game that I found at school near one of the computers, and was this beat 'em up with very, very early crude 3D graphics on top of pre-rendered backgrounds, and had you going through time. So you would start in the Jurassic period, like fighting cavemen and cave bears, and then you would go into like World War II. No, it wasn't World War II like that early, but like there was a Roman era, and then there was, I believe, a Wild West era, and then there was World War II era, and then there was modern, and then you went to the future, and you fought people not just with lasers, but people on roller skates with weaponized yo-yos. And I mean, this was school, so you take what you can get. Although I did manage to get Virtua Fighter 2 on a couple computers, because at that time there was no DRM on that. You just install it and then you play it, and you're good. You don't need the disc in there at all. In any case, welcome to AI Dungeon 2. I recently streamed Hades. Just kind of as an experimental thing. And I came out of it, like I got through the first act, or up to the first boss, and beat the first boss. And that took me 2 hours, which for me is probably about right. Not surprised. But I did feel like the results of that stream were about what I expected. Not in terms of follower counts or whatever, but purely in terms of the amount of time that I was able to actually talk about something versus the amount of time I was just sitting there in silence playing the game, which I feel like is probably not good content. So, like, maybe I'll come back to it, you know. Maybe I'll beat it off stream. And that has nothing to do with Hades in particular, just video games in general, solo streams, not great. IMHO. Because it's the stream tax, of course. Thank you, Angriest Pat, for that. I'm pretty sure it's him that came up with it. But basically just the idea that you can focus on streaming or you can focus on playing the game, but you can't do both. The end result is always going to be kind of a haphazard mix of the two. AI Dungeon, I get to escape that a little because I read quickly and I can type quickly, and just in general, there's a lot less downtime on the streaming side. I can switch back and forth very quickly. Everybody else, or every other game, really works better with a team, and AI Dungeon 2 is not an exception. I just feel like I can get away with it. With that said, I did get a follower from the Hades stream. I average about 1 follower per stream as a new ad, and while I am not tracking that, nor do I have any, like, benchmarks or goals set, you know, oh, when I get 30 followers, I'm going to raffle off my underwear. I do want to say that I see it afterwards. Like, despite having set up a little event box in the corner there, I never see that when it happens. I don't have an audio alert or anything, so it's not that I am ignoring anyone who follows me. Thank you. You are absolutely welcome. Love to have you, and love to have that just little boost of validation every time. We all need that in our world. So in the name of that, I am going to thank everybody to date who has followed me. From the top, or in chronological order, thank you, Lower Mechanical. Thank you, Ashley Williams, 2202. I did do an Evil Dead stream, by the way. You might want to check that out. Thank you, SJ Chan. Thank you, A Crabbo. Always a pleasure. Thank you, Sun Pillar of the Great Pillar. Sun Pillar of the Great Pillar. I'm actually thinking about that name for the first time, and I'm trying to wrap my head around it. Like, is this a pillar inside a pillar? Is a pillar stacked on top of the other pillar? Next time you're here, I'm going to have to ask you about that. Thank you, Kasukin. Thank you, Simply Lawful. There are 2 L's at the end of that. I don't know if I'm supposed to, like, roll the L. I hope not, because I can't do that. Thank you, Riley 2007. Thank you, On a Rampage. Thank you, Ruffles the Chip. Thank you, The Rust Box. Thank you, Nay is Not Scott. Thank you, Little Boilou. Is that French? Boileau? I don't know. Thank you, Sweet Caramel Chocolate. Thank you. Oh, okay, this is another one where I cannot roll the R's, so that's not going to happen, but El Mass Prawn. Right. And thank you, Trickster X49. Also, oddly enough, I had a notification. Oh, okay, I see. I did have a few other notifications in my mini feed. These people have since left. Nay is Not Scott followed me, but he's not on the list anymore. Nay is Not Scott, you have hurt my feelings, and you were not invited to my birthday party. Now that we've got that out of the way, let us get started with the actual content, which is to say, AI Dungeon. All I've got in mind right about now is something Jurassic Park something, so let's see how this goes. Yeah. You are a social media influencer. You have been invited to a pre-opening exclusive sneak peek at a mysterious park. You don't know what to expect, but they paid for your plane tickets and flew you out here. And it sure seems like they spared no expense. You arrive on an island off the coast of Costa Rica, on a let's give it a bit more, on a tropical island off the coast of Costa Rica. By helicopter. And are welcomed to a grand hotel, though there are almost no guests. Here you finally meet your mysterious benefactor. An older man in a suit with a cane. He introduces himself as Mr. Zoll. He's going to be hosting this event for his foundation. He wants you to help promote it, which is exactly what you're doing now. Mr. Zoll tells you that the park will feature, and interestingly enough, it breaks right there, which is good because I could just do it, but I don't want to do that. Well, he doesn't want to spoil the surprise. He leads you to the other guests. Sup, Trickster? The other guests are mostly hitting enter. Men dressed in business attire. One is wearing a Hawaiian shirt and tie. Another wears a tuxedo. They all seem to be scientists or engineers. The only woman is also male, but she looks more like a model than anything else. You sidle up to the... Yeah, here we go. The names of the guests are, in order... I want to get names on these people, but I don't know what it's going to do here. Oh, perfect. Thank you. AI Dungeon knew what it was doing. In order, Dr. Hastings, Dr. Lieberman, Dean Landsman, Sir Hallam with the tux, Annette with the evening gown, and Ben in the Hawaiian shirt. Sir Hallam seems vaguely familiar with you. You shake Sir Hallam's hand and ask him if he's big on the YouTubes. He snorts at you and says he's not familiar with the concept. He does, however, want to talk about computer games. Apparently he's a prominent figure in British game design. Your cynicism fades as you learn that he genuinely wants to know your opinions on the matter. You get to know all the guests over a sumptuous banquet laid out for lunch. You try to figure out Annette's gender, but don't succeed. And work the CSS. I need to figure out how to automate that. Ben from Hawaii is easy to talk to. He even gets Sir Hallam talking about computer games. It seems as if everyone had a favorite console at some point. Even the dour Mr. Lieberman wants to talk about the GameCube. Which is fucking sick, because you could just burn games right onto CD and play them. You didn't need to jailbreak it. Doing so would actually degrade the laser on the GameCube to the point that would stop reading games. So you needed one for your games that you actually had, and then you needed one for your CD binder full of pirated discs. During this, Mr. Zoll sits at the head of the table, beaming as you all discuss the things he wants to hear. You catch bits about market saturation, preferred game types, and whether Iron Man is cooler than Batman. No. Batman. Batman all the way. You turn the conversation towards this mysterious theme park and ask everyone what they think the surprise will be. Mr. Lieberman jokes that it's a roller coaster made out of real live crocodiles. Sir Hallam, perhaps a bit tipsily, claims that it will be the ruins of an ancient civilization only uncovered that week. Annette's theory is... Let's get a theory from everyone. That it's a museum of the ancient games mentioned earlier, to be dedicated on that very day. Ben just wants to know if there will be any Mai Tais available at this mystery destination, and Mr. Zoll assures you that you'll see in a few hours. Okay, so we covered Sir Hallam, we got Ben, we got Annette, we got Dr. Lieberman. We have a few others. Dr. Hastings, Dean Landsman. Dr. Hastings, it looks like it's just them. But Dr. Hastings and Dean Landsman are men dressed in business attire. They don't know anything about video games and seem offended that it would be discussed. They just want to discuss the market saturation of Foucault's Pendulum and H.P. Lovecraft books in Japan. The market? Isn't that a math thing? Okay. Alright, letting it go. You all take a nap in your swank hotel rooms. They spared no expense. Outside, you hear the calls of birds parroting back and forth. The distant rumble of machinery. And the occasional strange roar that you can't place. A flock of birds flies over the horizon near the dormant volcano. The birds are for scale. You can't even see the top of the volcano from here. The sun seems to set almost immediately after it rises. Okay, I'm just going to actually remove that. You can't even see the top of the volcano. Cloud cover, what are you going to do? Mr. Zoll wakes you when it's time to go. You all accompany Mr. Zoll down to the lobby of the hotel. There are 2 jeeps outside, waiting for you. The jeeps have a censored logo on the side that vaguely resembles the skeleton of an ancient creature. but you can't make out what. Could be anything, from a dragon to an armadillo. You all pile into the jeeps and drive away. The mountains with the smoke and crevasse gets further away until it's invisible. In a few hours, there are only endless fields of swaying grass. This is really far away from the hotel, you point out. It's not very convenient. Nothing's easy in this world, Ben from Hawaii chortles. You want a thrilling experience? You have to go through a little pain first. When you drive up to the mystery destination, you're faced with another mountain even further away from the hotel. But you find something that makes it all worthwhile. Over the trees, you see the swaying head of a dinosaur. A real live dinosaur. This is a dinosaur park. They've brought dinosaurs back from extinction. This is why the logo resembles a dragon. They've created their own dragons. But that's impossible. Along with the dragon is a tall, skinless boy? I'm just going to assume that's boy. A tall, skinless boy looking like a cross between a human and a fallen angel. You've created dragons. You gasp aloud. But how? And is that a lizard elf riding a dragon, or what? The park has live dragons and elf lizard people. This makes any other amusement park look like an infant's toy. When you get off the Jeep, a teenage elf walks over. She wears a skimpy top, even though it's only about 60 degrees with some high 3s 592 winds. Okay. It doesn't seem like tropical weather, so... She wears a skimpy top. It's about 90 degrees with some high winds. There we go. Welcome, the teenage elf says, to... We're going to get our logo reveal. Ludus. Okay. Her elf ears might have been slightly pointy. You're not sure due to the plastic woman platform shoes she wears. Is your name Altina, you ask? No. Then I'm not listening. I came here to see Altina. You stick your fingers in your ears. Ben lazily pulls your hands away and slaps you, then nods towards the elven teenager. Listen, kid, Ben says, we ain't here for that. We're here for the rides. You reluctantly concede. No, wait. You suddenly remember there are dragons right there and ask Mr. Zoll if you're going to ride the dragons. He laughs. Well, we don't exactly have the permits to create a dragon riding theme park, and they're here to round out our scenery. Mr. Zoll pays the girl and leads you towards the buildings. The teenage elf stares angrily at you until you disappear into a building. Inside the building is a large mural and a TV screen showing how they brought dragons to life. The process of bringing dragons to life is as follows. Complex. Oh, come on. The murals look professionally painted, but it's more than that. The artist uses magic to bring the scenes to life. Okay, good, it is getting into it. In the first panel, you see Altina sketching the dragon while actual video of a dragon plays in the backgrounds. Then she uses the sketch to bring it to life. It's some sort of 3D image manipulation computer software. Ben really loves it. Wow, and this AI dungeon really loves Ben. Ben from Hawaii is just taking front and center. In all your trips with the STEMS labs, which you take many trips to STEMS labs being a authentic influencer, and you've never seen the music for such a creative purpose before. This brings back memories, Ben says. You look at Ben. You ask Ben what memories he has of bringing dragons to life through CAD drawings. He explains he was once a graphic artist and specialized in animation. He couldn't afford to continue education into his field of interest, computer animator, so he started taking out student loans and working minimum wage jobs until the USAGC found him. The next mural is the inverse of the first one, so clearly the dragon unsketches it. I don't know. You remember that USAGC stands for United States Academy of United States Angels of Glory Corps. They're responsible for putting those who use magic in prison. USAGC once hunted down users of magic to put them in their place. When America started the Special Weapons and Tactics, SWAT, they created an elite unit called the Magic Enforcement Division, or then shorted to MED. You are learning a great deal about magic. This morning, you had no idea where that magic was real. You look to the final panel of the mural to see if... and see that it explains magic, where magic was found. In ancient Crete, here we go. In ancient Crete, the ancient Minoan islanders worshipped the goddess named Daedalus. They wrote about their great deeds in a magical language, Linear A. The USAGC deciphered what was then a mystery script. Linear A was actually an early form of magic. So magic is just a programming language? You say? Indeed. It allows whoever can read it to manipulate what's in the images, literally bringing them to life. The last panel, which is clearly the next after the final panel, shows a man reading from a scroll. Then a large red dragon bursts from the mural. The narrator says that he's experimenting with more complex creatures. I'm going to get rid of this because I know why I'm here. Instead, you knew Altina was important. You came here to see Altina, not because you knew she had anything to do with discovering magic and bringing back dragons, but because she painted Altina. For some reason, says Ben, they just put the mural up without the back wall. The scene of her looking over some notes she wrote. You fell in love with a painting of Altina a long time ago. Painted by Altina a long time ago. The painting showed her sitting and looking off into the middle distance, smiling a gentle, warm smile, a painting with personality. Altina's jewelry fell just right on her and gave her a regal sense of style. But something else about that painting drew you to it. Maybe it was because she looked at you when you first saw the painting. Can we meet Altina? You asked Mr. Zoll. No, he chuckles. She's long dead. Oh, you're not sure how you feel about that. Mr. Zoll asks if Altina looks familiar to you, and you sadly shake your head no. You're crushed at first. You've had your hopes built up over time, and we're looking forward to meeting Altina. You had no idea she was dead. But at the end of the day, this is a theme park with actual living dragons. You cheer her up again and ask questions about what kind of rides this theme park has. So we've got a B plot about Altina, and I'm glad that it didn't just have us meet her immediately. Mrs. Zoll happily goes into long explanations of how it's more like a zoo than a theme park. Later that night, you settle into your small room. Your roommate is a woman by the name of Rebecca. Everyone has half of a hotel room: bed, bathroom, and closet. You didn't meet Rebecca earlier because so much for sparing no expense. She was out at the time. Okay, fair enough. She's in her late 20s, has short blonde hair, and swimsuit model good looks. This makes you self-conscious about your weight. If there's one thing your mom has always nagged you about, it's to eat healthier and exercise more. You stay on your side of the room and take lots of selfies and record video to upload when you get back. There isn't an internet here. And the lawyers want to see what you record before you take it back to the mainland, due to NDAs. After uploading the media, you open a chat with Edson. The fuck is all this? Okay, that immediately violates the whole internet principle, so I'm going to... Over the next few days, you take in all the various sites with the rest of the guests and tourists. Now that everyone's here, they give you a better idea of what's Shit! It's that goddamn retry thing. Okay. The first thing you do in the morning is order room service. A vegetable omelet, wheat toast, and OJ. While you wait for it, you watch a live TV broadcast from the mainland. Altina's been making headlines lately. What else was that? Okay. You know what? Yeah, I actually am going to keep the reverts. The latest headlines about Altina are... They're different from the others. One's about her death and painting. It's an interview with someone who claims Altina is her ancestor, on her mother's side. Florence Arezzo swears that her grandmother had a portrait of herself done by an artist. This artist, is this going somewhere? Refers to Altina. The painting in the museum isn't an earlier draft of the portrait, but a separate portrait altogether. I don't think this is going anywhere. In fact, let's just get a new set of headlines. Get something better. What? Oh shit! It suddenly forgot that Altina was was a person. All right, try that again. Try that again. Do I need to remind it that she's an artist? Because it remembered the first time. Yeah, it is decided that Altina is an island. About Altina, the artist who you have just learned is deceased is our... About a group of archaeologists... Holy shit. are about the same as ever. Thank you. Altina's paintings sell for record prices. The record prices have increased exponentially since Mr. Zoll bought this island and theme park. Why buy an entire island just to theme it to Altina? Well, it wasn't originally an island. I guess Altina is famous for dragon paintings. Down in the lobby, Mr. Zoll, as the Jeeps take you out to the dragon exhibits, Mr. Zoll, you know what? We had some scientists and stuff. Let's get somebody else talking. Let's see here. Sir Hallam's doing that, Dr. Lieberman talks about the history of the island of Ludus. It used to be just a regular island with a small fishing town of 3,000. It experienced a devastating series of earthquakes over the course of 2 weeks. Everyone was evacuated to the mainland, and the island was written off as inhabitable. Soon after, Mr. Zoll bought it. What did you mean when you said it wasn't originally an island? You ask him. You ask Dr. Lieberman. Oh, it isn't. She? Okay, she replies. Not really, anyway. It used to be part of the mainland, jutting out into the ocean a bit. Huh. You never learned that in school in your rush to get through it for graduation. Why did it become an island, then? Oh, gee, I don't know. The earthquakes? Well, so let her speak for herself. It originally had stable land on all sides of it. Then there was a landslide that caused the water to overtake one side, then another and another, until it was an island. An active volcano erupted near it not long after, so Ludus brought its own mountains and all. You nod sagely, taking notes. This may become important later. What about the elves? Where do they fit in? It's a bit of a longer story. I don't have time to tell it now, though. Ludus was hit hard by the recession, and okay, that's not true, actually. We literally just described a different story. So, let's get rid of you. And it's true. You don't have time because you've arrived. The Jeeps park, and everyone disembarks. Well, actually, no. If we're doing a Jurassic Park thing here, then the Jeeps have pulled in off the trails and locked onto rails, being drawn along the dragon cages, pens, habitats. David Letterman is on the screen, is on a touch screen, talking all about each dragon and their unique characteristics. They spared no expense. Here we are, explains Dr. Lieberman. They are magnificent beasts. Each has their own distinct look and feel. One is metallic with shining armor-like plates. It's long and thin like a dragon boat. Another is very large with dark green scales that seem to absorb light. Top 10 dragons. Top 10 dragons on Ludus Island. Number 10. I'll guide it to be doing... Oh, actually, this is good. The Crassi. Surprisingly stealthy type of dragon. It can camouflage itself with its surroundings, and it causes 90% of fatal hunting accidents involving dragons, as you can't see or hear it coming until it's too late. The Aeternum, a relatively new and rare dragon, unlike the common dragons, that relies on its ability to manipulate time in an area around itself, speeding itself up while slowing everything else down. The whole phenomenon is unknown and not exactly welcomed by the other dragons. Most view it as cheating. The Gigantes. Isn't that a Monster Hunter? Gigantus. Native to the northern ice cap of Ludus, this polar dragon, the northern ice cap of the tropical island. Yeah, whatever. The polar dragon doesn't have natural enemies and is able to camouflage itself against the ice. Its relatively peaceful nature unfortunately makes it a favorite target for hunters, who prize its white dragon skin. The Allosaur, a new species of dragon that has only recently appeared in the last few hundred years. Nobody's sure where it came from, but it seems to have adapted to fit most niches on Ludus perfectly, hence its name, which means variable lizard in ancient Terran. Fafnir. A staple of many legends on Earth, the infamous dragon of the East features in many texts, films, and other stories. They're widely regarded as intelligent beings that hoard gold and jewels. It's actually pretty accurate. Fafnir dragons are excellent miners. They use their horns to burrow underground and dig out tunnels rivaling mine shafts. Then they fill them with all manner of shiny objects and decorate their caverns with them. The Friglish. Right. A primarily marsh-dwelling lizard, the Friglish has excellent camouflage abilities, uses them to lie in wait for its prey. The longer it waits, the more it adapts its coloration to better match its surroundings. If necessary, it can wait for months without moving, so it becomes indistinguishable from the plants and other objects around it. The eyes are also surprisingly powerful, able to see in complete darkness by emitting a bright green light. Gigantus. A huge, bulky dragon that can fly, even though it weighs more than several airships tied together. It has a thick, seemingly impenetrable hide. It's believed they can survive in the molten depths of the earth. Gigantus artwork depicts them with their chin tentacles, curled up underneath their bodies, but on the rare occasion one is seen today, the dragon keeps them trailing on the ground. These represent the remains of its ancient food, as the dragon is essentially an herbivore now. Incendium, a lord of flame. The Incendium has magical abilities unmatched by any other dragon, save perhaps the Excenderus. Okay? There is even an argument that the Incenderus is the female of the species, and the Incendium is the male, referring to their roles in bringing dragons to the world. The Abaya, recently discovered in the sunken valley of Leonard. This takes the form of an insurmountable mass of teeth. It lays at the bottom of a chasm, and the bottom part of its body looks like an earthworm made of teeth. The top half has several long tentacles that seem to serve no purpose other than shattering the remains of whatever creature falls on the Abaya. So that right there is a graboid. Could also be the Sarlacc pit. Finally, the Velocitas. Not a velociraptor. This dragon can move at an incomprehensible speed, so it's utterly impossible to prepare for a Velocitas attack. Its existence is only known through inference. Otherwise, the few rapid-fire ranged weapons that dragons use wouldn't have names. Holy shit, they've got machine guns. Fun fact before I continue. Velociraptors, as we all know in Jurassic Park, are these, 8-foot-tall giant chicken things. They hunt in packs, clever girls, so on and so forth. None of that is actually true. They were thinking of the Allosaur. The Velociraptors are small. They're about knee-high, and they're little bitey bastards. They just fucked up. They fucked up at the source, and it didn't get corrected, and now everybody thinks the raptors are the big ones. Go figure. All right, now that we know a great deal about dragons, we need to get back on track. David Letterman talks on and on about these fascinating creatures, but most of them aren't visible when you go by the habitats. They're very large pens, and few of the dragons seem inclined to go up to the fence and say hello. The guests are all grumbling. And Dr. Zoll says, I keep wanting to make him a doctor. Mr. Zoll says, He'll explain on the ride. That part is good. The rest of that is, what the hell are you on about?
Take a bite. Come on, I won't hurt you. Mommy! Daddy, you're supposed to come see this! I found something!
Yeah, they played audio clip from Jurassic Park 2 in the game. I tried to cut out everything with voice in it, and clearly I missed that one. We're having a bit of trouble with our Madagascar dragon. It's the only one of its kind, so we're stuck with it, despite the fact that it tries to eat anything that enters its pen. This information doesn't quell the fears of the guests. How do you stop them from flying out? You ask Mr. Zoll. Doesn't... He smiles. It isn't easy. Dragons can fly or burrow. Most of them don't feel the urge to fly away, or they would have done so long ago. But if one did get out, we're working on an anti-dragon drone, but that's classified. The real reason they don't fly out, he continues, is because they're bonded to their handlers. That's the purpose of the elves. The elves are also brought here by magic. We use the elves to control the dragons. But they're all male, someone says. How does that work? Mr. Zoll shakes his head. If I knew, I would tell you. It's part of their magic. They're very sad elves, brought here when they were young, Zlatan says quietly. Mrs. Zoll shoots Zlatan a dirty look. Mr. Zoll doesn't like Zlatan, and Zlatan doesn't like Mr. Zoll. He keeps talking about how this park is doomed, and how nature will find a way, and the dragons are going to eat everybody. So now we have Jeff Goldblum in the picture. Many times he's tried to talk some of the other elves into shutting off the wireless security system so the dragons can do their thing and get it over with. The wind is starting to pick up, and the glass of the Jeep spatters over with rain. Let's head back. Mr. Zoll sighs. The dragons aren't going to be visible in this weather anyway. David Letterman starts talking about how there's a huge tropical storm on the way, and Mr. Zoll shushes the screen. The Jeep is just pulling up to the trailer when a clap of thunder makes you all jump. The rain is coming down in sheets, wash a cascade over the grand scope of the glass dragon, then disappear down its gullet. It's swallowing the rain! A small voice cries. You take pictures of the majestic beast, barely visible through the rain. Can we just get out and get closer? You ask. We're not going to melt from a little rain. No, your mom says. Okay, let's retry that. Mr. Zoll heaves a sigh. Sure, he says. Help her out, Zlatan. Apparently I am her. Whatever. Come on, kids, let's go, Zlatan yells. To the dragon! Is that Zlatan, you think? The guests all pile out and head up to the fence. The glass dragon seems particularly peaceful and agreeable to being stared at, even as the rain picks up. Out by the tree line, you spot something strange. It looks like a reptilian head poking out from the leaves. It disappears, and slowly you forget about it. Zlatan is telling everyone to take pictures with their phones up to the glass dragon and posting to social media. Zlatan, I can't wait for it to break out and eat everyone, Zlatan says happily. There's nothing I like more than a happy ending. You head off towards the outhouse, stumbling a bit in the mud. Probably a good idea to take care of business before you head up towards the dragon again. As you reach the outhouse, you spot that reptilian head again. You recognize it as one of the lizard elves. Is it the glass dragon's handler? You wonder? The elf probably doesn't like the rain, since they're cold-blooded. Still, you aren't sure if it's a good idea to go over and start talking to it. Instead, you hurry into the outhouse and do your business. On the way out, you stumble again on one of the many roots that are poking up from the ground around here. When you stumble, you look up and see something unexpected. An elf hanging from from a rope. It takes you a moment to realize it's a noose. And I'm going to get rid of the rest of that. Shocked, you still take a picture through reflexes alone. And move closer. You realize the elf has just hung themselves. But there's no way for you to get up and rescue them. It's too late. The elf is dead. In fact, well, okay. It looks like they've been here for days. Somewhere in the back of your mind, a tiny voice notes that you shouldn't be unfazed by this. Okay? You snap another picture and start backing away. Then you hear a deep, booming voice. Who's there? Oh no. It's the park ranger. It's the park ranger. And you weren't paying attention. Oh, come on, man. Give me a name, please. And he's got a shotgun trained on you. I don't know what you're doing here, but make your last moments be ones of victory, he says. Very strangely. Readying himself to pull the trigger. Let's refresh that one. Unchaining the gates? Okay. Raising the gun. You eep and leap towards the fence, knocking the camera off its nail on the way. It's only then that you realize you don't have your crutches anymore. Right. Wow. It may be very confused about this. I may need to back it up. Make your last moments be ones of victory, he says, by confessing your evil deeds. There's no use in hiding it at this point. If you've learned anything from the news, it's that once a cop or someone in authority thinks you're up to something, they will not stop until they turn over every stone, no matter how ridiculous the accusation. There's a dead elf up there, you yell, and point up at the tree. What? The ranger squints at the tree for a moment. Nah, it's just a vine. Now turn around. He takes you into custody. It goes downhill from there as far as your vacation is concerned. At least the park ranger got his killer, they said on the news. Let's refresh that. I actually kind of like the whole vine thing. The ranger follows your finger, and his eyes widen. Now that is a truly evil deed, he says. But why was it committed? You look at him as if he's crazy. I just told you to get elves to pick up garbage in this park. Mr. Soul says in the background, they work for peanuts. And they're not naturalized citizens. It's perfect. Revenge, you say? Revenge? On who? The policeman says, slowly nodding his head. I'm seeing a pattern here. An underground ring trafficking the performers, using them and then discarding them. I'll have to find out where they're coming from and shutting them down for good. As the park ranger blathers on in some sort of justice, a fit of justice ecstasy, there's a snapping sound of guidelines giving way and concrete crumbling. You realize that with the elf dead, the glass dragon is no longer bound. It's free to roam and eat. You turn and run, but it's too late. All that change that was weighing it down has made it so the tree it was in could not bear its weight any longer. The entire structure comes crashing down and just narrowly misses crushing you entirely. So apparently it was also part of a tree. Just gonna let it pass. The glass dragon roars majestically and starts snapping up nameless guests with crunching relish. Other dragons roar, and you see, in flashes of lightning, other elves swaying at the end of nooses. It must have been a suicide pact. You must... Wait a moment. The park ranger's still shouting. Ringing the bells and sounding the horns of valor. Grateful citizens are coming forth with tales of heroic deeds. Your pictures, you need to get them out before they're damaged. Sleep can wait. You sneak back to the Jeep and try to get it moving again. Slapping David Letterman repeatedly. Turn it off, you shout. There's no sound except for the chattering of your own voice. After a moment of stunned silence where you're absolutely sure you're caught, David finally goes silent. The elf woman comes out of her stupor. The dead one has awoken, she whispers. I don't know what that means, but I don't want to be eaten, so let us fuck the get out of here, you request of her. This may just confuse it. Your picture has been taken. No. I'm going to give it 2 more tries, and then I try it. She understands. The two of you get out of the car, just as the park ranger approaches and holds out your phone at you. You dropped this, he says. You snatch it out of his fingers and bump into a fellow scavenger. Wait a second, he says. I know you! You really don't want to give autographs right now. Look, can you do your job, please? You beg the park ranger. And stop talking! The dragon's going to hear you. He gets back to attention and astonishingly, goes over to help evacuate the other guests from the roller coasters, by which you mean jeeps. In the chaos of the holiday, you are able to slip away and duck into a nearby restroom to change clothes. There you slip off your armor and change from your silks into your garb. Wow, it is just very confused from the jeeps. In the chaos of the evacuation, you were able to slip away and duck into cover. Let's do that with the elf. You poke your head out of cover and hiss for the nearest guest to join you, who happens to be blah 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 blah. Where the hell were all those names? Here we are. Happens to be Sir Hallam. You pull him close and whisper, "Have you seen David?" "Seen him? He's getting eaten. The dragon has him." "Damn, you left his ass to die." You swear to yourself and say, "David got killed by the dragon. We've got to find him." Then you realize that's a really stupid idea. No, never mind. We've got to get out of here. You look over at the elf. Do you know how we can get back to the hotel? I need to turn on the lights in here. One moment. You see the elf shaking her head, then try to speak, but realize that is also impossible. She just shrugs in accepting the futility of spoken language. Apparently not all of the elves are talkers. Meanwhile, Sir Hallam pulls out your map and says, "Look, if we leave through the south entrance and head west along the boundary wall, then across the south edge of the park, we should be able to get back to Roppongi Hills." You check that the coast is clear, and all three of you set off across a dimly lit park. The rain comes down in pounding sheets and howling wind. The storm is picking up speed. You can hear in the distance echoing dragon cries, screams, like what? It's just roars, I suppose. Echoing dragon roars as dragon after dragon breaks free and realizes it is no longer bound by magic and can now take to the skies, feasting upon guests and each other. You try to keep it together. The wind is now so strong it knocks you off your feet and into the muddy ground with a barrage of hailstones. "We have to find shelter!" You shout against the howl of the wind. "We can't make it like this!" You aren't even sure if Sir Hallam hears you. He is laying prone next to you, trying to dig a hole into the mud to protect himself. And David has long since abandoned you both in an effort to save himself. You crawl on all fours towards shelter. Looking back, you attempt to communicate with the elf using crude sign language that you don't want to die, so please take you to shelter. You recognize her as the bartender from David's hotel. Who the fuck is David anyway? She shakes her head in dispute, but understands you. You see a dilapidated outhouse not too far away. It isn't ideal, but it is better than getting struck by lightning. You make your way over to the outhouse, dragging Sir Hallam with you. With the elves. Elf in tow. The outhouse is a concrete structure made for tourists and will hold up well against the storm. Thankfully, as the park hasn't opened yet, it hasn't been in use. You quickly climb the steps and open the door for the elf. Hoping she understands what you are trying to tell her to do, you gesture for her to get inside. Numb from the cold and shaking, you hope that she doesn't make you go in there with her? You are very sensitive to male and female bathrooms and can't really tell if she understands the difference. It is up to you whether or not to follow the elf into the outhouse. After a long moment of internal debate, you finally enter the outhouse, taking refuge from the storm. You then realize it's a co-ed outhouse anyway, as there is no divider between the two halves. There was never any hope. The elf has a confused look on her face, but her eyes are locked onto yours. Your cold, wet bodies press up against one another in the cramped quarters. Lightning flashes outside. You cast a glance at her body. It's curvy and soft-looking. After a moment, you blink. Hang on. Lizard girls don't have titties. You know what? Let's just do this. Breasts. The elf opens her smock and shows you that she keeps snacks bound to her chest. She offers you delicious elf snacks. You don't eat them. You're still not feeling that keen on elves. Oh, come on, eat the elf snacks. Elf snacks consist of... I won't go through a full top 10. Nut bars and dried fruits. It's not the most romantic sustenance. This isn't romance? Oh, for God's sakes. It really wants it to be romance, huh? You know what? I'm going to retry. Which are... Elf snacks consist of dried meat strips and fruits, which are really just weird animal crackers. But as having accepted the elf snacks as being superior to yours, you lie down to sleep in peace. Now that the storm is over, you decide to get moving. All three of you crawl back up the steps to the main entrance of the outhouse. Looking up at the sky, you can see that you're in the eye of the storm. If you hurry, you can make it back to the hotel before the storm wall reaches you. Shivering, the three of you set off through the park at a run. David! David Bartleby! A scruffy man with a thick beard emerges from behind a tree. He's dressed in a worn-out suit that has seen much better days. It's too hot for that here anyway. David's dead, you tell the man reluctantly. He was eaten by a glass dragon. Have you seen any other guests? You grasp at straws, thinking of your father and sister, who aren't actually here. The bearded man gives you an odd look, then explains that he isn't one of the guests. He's the hotel's caretaker. He leads you through a secret passage back into the hotel. Back towards the hotel. I'm on board with this, but I don't want to reach it yet. We still need more developments. The caretaker's name is... Back towards with hotel. Yeah, okay, whatever. It's Charles. He has a foreign accent you can't quite place. Charles explains that the hotel used to be a palace up until it was converted into a luxury hotel generations ago. What a mansion! So it was a native palace? You ask Charles, as the four of you are slowly making your way through a maintenance tunnel. The tunnel is partially flooded, and your steps splash, but the pumps are laboring to keep the water level down, and it's safer than being above ground, where the dragons can pick you off. And Mr. Zoll converted the native palace into a hotel? Mr. Zoll, you piece of shit. Oh no, Zoll was the one who originally built this hotel. So wait, do you mean to tell me Mr. Zoll is older than dirt? The thought boggles your mind, let alone the fact that all four of you have survived an attack from a full-grown dragon. I actually don't know how old Mr. Zoll is. The hotel predates my birth, but he used to run this place. Charles stops. Now quiet. The four of you stop and hold your breath. You can hear movements coming from up ahead. Okay, what happens next? What happens next will shock you. Charles motions towards the side, indicating that you should follow him quietly. As you're about to turn down the next tunnel, you see a single dragon eye glaring at you from the tunnel up ahead. You thought you were safe down here. But you forgot about the burrowing dragons. Like long snakes with terrible jaws that are perfectly sized to slither through maintenance tunnels. This one is spotted, which means it's young, but that also means it's still growing. That's good. The rest of this, fuck off. You crack open a door and slip through, praying that the dragon either didn't see you or doesn't think you're worth chasing. You're barely a nibble to a dragon. The dragons will have to eat each other to survive if they're not feeding off magical ley lines. Your lungs are bursting, and you can feel your pulse in your throat as Charles slowly detaches himself from the shadows. No longer slow, you sprint down the hall past pictures of hotel partygoers. You splash through to the far side and find yourself in an alcove. The wall is unbroken, save for a single door. It's not there, you say, stunned. We've gone the wrong way. It depends on your definition of right and wrong, Charles grins. You raise an eyebrow. Charles, the caretaker, steps up to the door and scans his keycard. The door pivots 180 degrees and becomes a different door entirely that lets you all into a break room. Magic! You've gotten so used to Charles's keycard by now that you hardly even think about it, but seeing as he has unrestricted access to the entire hotel, he could leave. He could go anywhere he wanted. It occurs to you that for the first time that losing him could be potentially more dangerous than losing your dragons. Than losing your phone. How about that? Can I have that keycard? You ask Charles, hopefully. Charles looks put off by the proposal. It's my livelihood, he says with a shrug. Before you can argue, the caretaker turns and walks into what you hope is his office. Of course, you're in no position to bargain, you decide bitterly. You're kind of trapped in this small set of rooms until the snake dragon leaves. On the other hand, if you can get the security system working, you might be able to scare it off with lights and alarms and stuff. You start playing around with the computer, and Sir Hallam pushes you out of the way. I recognize this, he says. This is Linux. I use it at work. He swivels in the chair and begins typing. They've set up a web interface, he observes after a moment. Just as weak as the day it was born. He touches the screen here and there and then smiles. What did you do, you ask? I enabled a deep web filter, Sir Hallam says proudly. Looks like they were using it to watch deeper web pornography. No, correction, what I mean is they were watching some deep web pornography. I'll just speed up the cycle. Okay, I seriously do not care about pornography right now. Can you turn on the security systems in the maintenance hallways or not? Deeper web. When deep web just will not suffice. You are too impatient to deal with the night's quirks. The ghosts... Alright. Sir Hallam gives you a wounded look. We're dealing with the computer system of a hotel, he says. Our lives are dead-end, joyless, and boring. I'm doing the best I can. You're weird. You leave Sir Hallam to his work and check on the elf. How are you doing? You ask the elf. You're not feeling any suicidal urges, are you? The elf frowns. I'm fine, she says. My name is Tori. Can I count on you to protect me if shit goes down? You nod. I'll protect you with my life. Tori seems amused by this answer. Anyway, I'm only asking because, well, it looked a lot like the other elves working at this theme park all killed themselves to free the dragons. You didn't know that. Yes, you did, because you just saw it. This is a good line, and it feels like it should come after something else. Yeah, you know what? Let's get rid of this. You can only imagine how terrible it must be to work somewhere so cold all the time, never being able to go out in the sun, which is a lie, and be forced to perform caretaking duties in a bunch of theme park suits don't want to run. No, Tori says, firmly. They didn't kill themselves. That's very strange, because you distinctly remember seeing elves on nooses. Elves on the end of nooses? Yeah. They didn't? Of course not. The management here is ass, but it wouldn't be that cliche, and we waste a perfectly good rope. You still have lingering doubts about this girl and what she's telling you. Sup, chocolate? So the suicides are an urban legend? Tori laughs, or she would if she could stop coughing for a moment. Oh no, the suicides happened. Years before I got here, though. Remember, I was born in Elvendar. We left because my mother fell in love with an explorer and adventurer. She pauses. None of this. You're not following any of this. Jurassic Park, magic, dragons, and so on. Well, you know what? Let's see if I can give a sensible recap here. The recap. You, and by which I mean I, whatever, am a social media influencer that was invited to a certain island off the coast of Costa Rica. The island is host to a mystery theme park that is not yet opened. I'm getting a sneak peek of it. We take jeeps out from the hotel, after meeting a bunch of the other guests, of course, and we discover that this is a theme park for dragons. They have brought dragons using magic. And they've also brought elves. As it turns out, the reason the dragons don't just fly away and wreak havoc is because they're magically bound to elves, who are their handlers. The elves are also lizard people, by the way. So one thing leads to another. A big tropical storm is coming into the island, kind of messes with everything, and then you look up, and you see that the elves have hung themselves. Dead elves swaying from trees everywhere on the ends of nooses. With the elves dead, the dragons are no longer under control. They start breaking free, they start eating guests, they start fighting each other. That's damn right it is. That was the whole idea. I did not expect this to have dragons. In fact, I actually said, I'll show you the exact moments where it suddenly decided that it was going to be dragons instead. Here we go. You drive up to the mystery destination. You're faced with another mountain even further away from the hotel. Good reminder, there's a volcano on the island. You find something that makes it all worthwhile. Over the trees, you see the swaying head of a dinosaur. A real live dinosaur. This is a dinosaur park. They've brought dinosaurs back from extinction. To which AI Dungeon responded, this is why the logo resembles a dragon. They've created their own dragons. But that's impossible. Along with the dragon is a tall, skinless boy looking like a cross between a human and a fallen angel. And everything just kind of cascaded from there. So I was going for dinosaurs, and now we're dragons. And that's why AI Dungeon is here. Because if I wrote it myself, it would have been boring. It would have just been dinosaurs. But one thing is very clear. She's pretty damn sure elves don't kill themselves. If so, who did kill the elves? How? And why would anyone go to such lengths? It's a mystery to add to the pile. One you also don't have time to solve right now. Let's just say the less said about our supervisors, the better, Tori says finally. Jackpot, says Sir Helen suddenly, breaking in. I've hacked the Gibson and seized control of the security systems. I can now see all the cameras in the park. Oh, fuck. And I just realized something. I have normally a noise filter on, as well as a slight pop reducer. That has been off. Now it is on. I apologize for the quality of my voice up till this moment. Now you will have to hear less background noise. Great. There's always something. He pulls out his own handheld and begins tapping at it repeatedly. Within moments, he releases a whoop of glee. Sir Hallam stands up, brandishing the screen. I knew it! He exclaims triumphantly. What did you find out? You ask. This entire situation is fantastic, Sir Hallam says, eyes wild. He turns the screen so you can see it. The screen shows an image of the finishing school from earlier, but it's not a CCTV footage. What finishing school? This makes no sense. But there was a school of some kind. It was... You know what? I know what this is. This was the lobby where they had the murals depicting how they raised dragons up. This was that tutorial section, the whole, here's how dragons were made. So that is what he's referencing. You see a dragon, a young dragon, slip by. And then you see something even stranger. Now, you see something far more amazing. There's a nest in the corner with eggs. The dragons are multiplying. I thought they were all male dragons. You protest? There's a small percentage of female dragons, Sir Hallam tells you. They're infertile, though. They make for horrible parents who kill their young as soon as they see them as potential rivals. These, Xana and her friends, I believe, are on the babysitting squad. If they're infertile, then how are the dragons hatching? You point out. Because they're totally hatching. That's a thing that's happening right now. There's more dragons here than just those brought forth by Altina's magic. I think, Sir Hallam pauses to look up the word before continuing, asexual reproduction, like certain species of worms and fish. So where are the Xana people, you ask? The ones taking care of this hatching. They have another job to do. What job is that? Sup, Lawful? I don't know. The cameras show no one at the school. Oh. The penny drops. The camera shows an empty room. You blink. What? They've been moved to the dungeons. Taking your silence as a request for more information, Sir Hallam explains further. The dungeons have soundproofed cells. That's where the elves are being held. I don't know why they would be there, though. Only notable things in the dungeons are the torture rooms and the gladiator pit. Way to spoil the mood, Hallam. Charles chides him. Here we go. Charles steps out of the room, looking over Sir Hallam's shoulder. I see you have the security systems back online. That should help us evade the snake dragon and get back to the hotel. Sir Hallam shakes his head. I'm really sorry, Charles, but I can't have you leaving. What? You're too smart. You'd ask the elves about the curse. That's a conversation that will just lead to problems. Charles raises an eyebrow. You're really not sure why Sir Hallam is pretending to be Mr. Know-It-All when Charles is literally the hotel caretaker and works on this fucking island. Unless Sir Hallam is more than just a guest. Wait a minute, you say. You're... Shut it, kid, Sir Hallam snaps at you. Charles, I understand that you want to save your son, but this gambit will be detrimental to the plan. The elves won't trust you. I I don't give a damn about the elves, Charles growls in return. I do, you point out. Can we go back to the dungeons and torture rooms you were describing a moment ago? The horrible things you seem to be doing to the elves? The flagrant violation of human rights? The old caretaker sighs. I don't want to, but could you convince this asshole to reconsider? Okay, the rest of that, no, that doesn't make sense. Try it again. Sir Hallam addresses you directly. The elves are loyal to Altina, and so are the instruments of the state. Those instruments will still be needed for when the curse is finally lifted. Sir Hallam's lie lacks conviction. You mean the dead artist, Altina? You say mockingly. Then you catch Tori's eye. And the look on her face reveals something new. She's not dead? Sir Hallam sighs. Kid, I suggest you step outside. Charles turns to you, his eyes stormy. He looks at you as if seeing you for the first time. You too, kid. This is going to be a legal matter, not a discussion. You and Tori are shoved out of the maintenance room. The door promptly locks, and you hear flashing lights and see loud sirens ringing through the corridors. Clearly, the snake dragon is being called to your position. They're trying to get you eaten. The situation just keeps getting better and better. You and Tori look at each other, unsure of what to do next. Let's run, you say helpfully. And grab her hand, and grab her scaly hand before dashing off down the corridors. It's hard to tell which way the snake is, or where to go. But you remember which way the hotel was. That's your best bet. You turn to the left, then to the right, hoping you might find a back way into the hotel rather than going through the atrium again. After several minutes of twists and turns, it becomes apparent that you're lost in the maintenance tunnels. There's no hope for it. And the breathing of the snake, the sibilant slithering of the snake dragon is coming closer. You have to make a break for it on the surface. At the next junction, with a ladder, you and Tori climb up and step out onto the surface of the island. The howling wind and pouring rain make it almost impossible for you to see, but you are able to faintly make out the red uniforms of royal guards to your left. You're able to make out the silhouette of the volcano to your left. That means the hotel is to your right. You set off into the monsoon, an arm held up against the terrible weather, and trying to make the best time you can. If there's any consolation, the dragons won't like this weather either. You're less likely to be eaten, and more likely to fall and break your goddamn neck. You and Tori cling to each other for safety as you make your way as quickly as you dare across the island. It's really a hopeless situation. You can only hope that an unusual lightning strike doesn't turn the pair of you into a cinder. You fetch up against an intersection, against a signpost, and read the signs to find out what's nearby. Might give you some idea of where to go if you need to escape the island. There's not much help to be had here. The island's wilderness offers little in the way of civilization. All you can find is one about a trading post nearby and an arrow to show the way. You're about to give up when you realize there's a folded piece of parchment jammed into the top of the sign. You take it out. It's excessively damp but still legible. That's very interesting. You jam it into a pocket and make your way towards the trading post, which is a charging station with a vending machine. You take refuge from the rain and poke and feed quarters into the vending machine until it dispenses. The object of your desires, a bag of chips. You and Tori cram your faces until you're sick, then do it again. The rest of that doesn't make any sense, so I'm going to get rid of it. Having caught your breath and filled your bellies, you take a moment to unfold the parchment and read what you found. The parchment says, you're about to run out of soundtrack, but I'll deal with that when the time comes. Come to the trading post near the old dock at midnight. There's a speedboat that will take you to safety. From there, you're on your own. You feel like you've won the lottery and defeated the monster all at once. This changes everything. You weren't sure how you'd get out of here. But if there's a speedboat on the docks at midnight, that might just do the trick. You can take Tori and your phone back to civilization without censorship. You can escape and be a hero. You check the time and see that there's still a few hours to kill. What should you do until then? You rest for the most part. You rest for a while. That plan goes... You know what? Actually, let's take this opportunity for dialogue. You rest for a while and talk to Tori. I can get you out of here. You offer, showing her the notes and reading it aloud. I can take you back to the mainland and show the world what they were doing. Oddly, she doesn't look enthused by the idea. No, she says, her face twisting into a frown. And the rest of it makes no sense whatsoever, so try it again. If you connect with the world, they'll just use you like they'll used me. You'll never be free. What is she getting at? If you expose them, she says, it won't really change anything. They'll just find another girl to use as a host. They'll get away with it. That's very good, so keep going. But you can change things. You can make sure they have nobody else to use, so they have to stop. How do I do that? You ask. Altina, she says. You have to rescue Altina. This makes no sense to you. I don't understand. They need her, says Tori. They have so much power over her, and they're exploiting that. They can make her do whatever they want. Even bad things. How do I save her, you ask? How do I free her from their hold? Tori smiles. Kill them all, she says, in an innocent way that sends a shiver through you. But that's not enough. Not enough, you ask. Tori nods solemnly. There are more rotten eggs than the ones at the penthouse. Lots of people in power are like that. If you want to free Altina, you need to cut off the head of that snake. You need to kill them all. Kill them all. Cut off the head of the snake. What are you saying? You ask. Who do I have? Who do you want me to kill? Tori's expression turns sad. It's horrible, isn't it? But the way to cut off the head of the snake is to kill an innocent girl. The men who keep Altina alive, captive, think you're her, so if you... You gasp. You want me to kill Altina herself? Okay, I want you to say yes to this, because... No, none of that makes any sense. No, none of that makes any sense. No, fuck off. Actually... You blink as what she's suggesting catches up with you. You want to take Altina's place and then have me kill you. Tori nods sadly. You understand. Fuck you, you say, your skin crawling at the thought of being in the same room as this monster. Fuck you, fuck you! It's by sacrifice that anything anywhere changes, says Tori, her voice laced with melancholy. I thought you said they didn't kill themselves. You say, but they did, didn't they? And you want to die too. Just to get Altina free. Tori looks down, but not before you see the tears run down her cheeks. Okay, let's try that sentence again. Tori looks down, but not before you see the tears run down her cheeks. You can't tell if it's a trick of the lights or her own makeup, or her own scales. But tears seem to slide down unnaturally slowly. If I get out of here... Tori looks at you. Promise me, she says urgently. Promise me you'll do it. Promise me you'll put me on the throne, the what? On the cross and kill me. I can't do that, you say. Tori begins crying and you feel a pain of sympathy. Why are you so scared? She asks desperately. You don't deserve that. You snap. This is bullshit. None of you deserved any of this. This is all their fault. Mr. Zoll and those fucking bankers and the scientists and whoever. They should be the ones to die. But you already know you can't do that. Just so it doesn't take this as a suggestion. You need an army, a guillotine, gas chambers, electric chairs, and hangmen. All you have is one underappreciated girl and a penthouse full of unsuspecting, uncomfortable old men. You sigh. This could solve everything, she says desperately. I don't even have a way to kill you. You point out numbly. I don't have a car. Let's try that again. Where would I even get the stuff? What with Nazis after me and all? What with dragons after me and all? It doesn't matter, she says. It could be anything, everything. You could throw me down the stairs, hit me over the head, or lock me in a gas-filled room. She pauses. Do it, please. As a favor to me, please. You stare at her. You feel tears prick your eyes and blink rapidly. I'm sorry, you manage. It's fine, she says softly. You hold her hand until the rain band passes. Then you break cover, moving towards the hotel. No, not towards the hotel. Actually, where do you even need to go? And start moving back towards the hotel. Where is Altina being kept? You ask Tori. The third floor. Let's see if I can get something better. Like that was fine, but okay, nope. Okay, apparently it is a hotel. That's good enough. A section of suite 658, she says. The cell is reinforced titanium attached to the wall of the master bedroom. You nod. Do you have any specific guards? Just one in the room. They don't want to take any chances. And how do I get into the room? I'm going to need a key, or a key card, or a passcode, or I don't know what. There's a terrace attached to the master bedroom. The window's unlocked and there are stairs down to that section on the second floor of our building. You nod. I think I can do this. How? How can you possibly think you can do this? Which is a kind of a weird thing for her to say, but because I'm a streaming partner, you say simply, I can do anything. I have influence. And as promised, the music did stop, so I need to find something to replace it. That's a bit much. No. I think I did that already. How many tracks are there on this? Yeah, that'll work. No, it won't. That's not going to last long enough. Yep, so this must be gripping. Waiting and watching the text as I scroll through directories and decide what music you're going to listen to. Well, this one will do it. No, that's not the right mood. The fuck did I think it was? Here, this'll work. This'll definitely work. But it's not. Here we go. The expression on her face is priceless. For a moment, she looks like she's about to cry again, but instead she just stands there smiling at you uncertainly, clearly having no fucking idea what you just said. It's not going to be easy, you admit. I'm going to have to improvise, and this could cost me. You know what? I'm curious what it'll say if I let it talk a little bit longer. I trust you, she says simply. If there's anyone in this world who I can trust, it's you. You stare into her eyes, a little touched by her faith in you. As far as you can tell, well, maybe she's right. You'll find out. Soon, you reach the hotel. You sneak in under cover of cover and slip up the stairs, making your way to the second floor so you can jump across the terraces. That's going to be the most dangerous part. You're about to risk your life, possibly for nothing. You open the doors to the terrace, lashed by wind and rain, as usual, and see the rail is too high to easily jump over. You're going to have to risk jumping and grabbing the edge in some way, taking your weight on your hands. It's going to be quite a fall if you slip. Luckily, your fancy metal arm is perfect for stuff like this. The fuck does that? Get out of here. Do you have any magic? You shout over the howl of the wind to Tori. She shakes her head. Not for that. My magic can't affect the real world. That's right, you think. She's a straight-so after all. Her kind can only warp the minds of others, not bring actual objects or creatures to life. Something you're going to take advantage of today. But not yet. You have to get over there first. You climb up the tall railing, balancing precariously at the top and helping Tori up beside you. You don't look down, knowing that'll just ruin your concentration. You take a deep breath to steel your nerves, then leap forward. You throw your arms outward and grab hold of the edge of the terrace, your body swinging out into empty space. Your fingers tighten on the slick metal, and you pray that you don't lose your grasp. You roll a dexterity check. Your chest is pressed against the railing, and your body weight is 90% suspended by your arms at this point. You dare not swing your leg upwards to try and hook the edge. You simply don't have the strength to hold on if you do. Tori, grab my legs and help me up. Tori strains to help you up. It is at this moment you remember that you're kind of a fat ass and can't do a pull-up to save your life. You're going to fall. Unless you release one hand from the railing and reach into your pocket, pulling out your cell phone. It's a cheap, shitty model you got free with the contract with a cracked screen and barely any memory, but it's all you need. You thumb the phone to find... What can your phone possibly do? You thumb the phone and find a flashlight app before playing it into the sky and blinking in the universal Morse code to attract a dragon. Da 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 da! The whine of a dragon fills the air and you see a dark shape fly overhead. Hopefully its attraction to the light will draw it to you. can sense prey from miles away, after all. Indeed, the dragon spots you and swoops in with a fearsome cry. This isn't just any dragon. It's the Madagascar dragon, and well known for eating guests. It wants to eat you. The dragon is headed right for you, and oh shit! It's decided it wants you for dinner. You scream as the dragon grabs you in its talons that could crush a man in half. It easily lifts you above its head and tears you in half with its bare hands. Game over. And something happens. What happens? What Deus Ex Machina kicks in? Tank! You cry out, and a 7-ton tank drives over the dragon. It's like a beer can being stepped on by a hippo. There's a hideous cracking sound as the tank drives over it, and then a squirting of yellow ooze that then emerges from underneath. Now that's what I call a shock ending, cackles Skellington. Yeah! LB, the dragon looks dead! The townspeople should really clean up this mess! The townsfolk, you look out to see there are actually numerous townfolk milling about in the street now. They must have been waiting in the wings while you played out your narrative. How cute. Okay. No, that's not what happens. Let's try for something else. Who the fuck is Allison? What ravine? Oh god, it's going to throw you off the building. Then Tori does something unexpected. You know what? No. Not Tori. Tori's been too much. Then there's a sudden crack of sounds, and the dragon drops you onto the terrace. You look up at the roof to see none other than the park ranger winding up a portable ballista and laughing like a madman. You're alive. You're alive thanks to a German, and you have the park ranger to thank. Clearly the park ranger is German. If you hadn't had that, who knows if you'd still be alive. Rest of that is... No, there was already a firearm. There was totally a... He started with a shotgun, so... Avast, you beast! Bellows the park ranger. By my wrath, you shall not dine on stupid streamers today! You grab Tori and help her up. Okay, and do not do the rest of that. A dragon bellows angrily and flies up towards the roof, and you take the opportunity to haul yourself inside, into the bedroom of Suite 658. You've managed to get inside, but the guard is waiting. Very patiently, I would think, but then again, it's shitty weather. Probably just was hoping you'd fall on your own. Tori lets out a squeal as the door slams shut, locking automatically. You see the massive figure of the bodyguard, and he smiles grimly at you through the glass. Hello, sir. I'm afraid you're not getting out of here without doing a deal with my master, he says cryptically. And what deal does your master want? You say to stall for time. He's like behind a sheet of glass or something, so there's multiple layers of bulletproof glass. I don't know. The guard smiles again. He wants to make a deal with you. He wants to open up a door, a window to your desires. You look around. The only door in the room is locked, and the window leads out into the terrace, where the dragon waits. I'm hearing a lot of description and not a lot of specifics. You tell the guard, what exactly is your master offering? If you agree, my master will open up a door to your desires. Whatever you desire in exchange for your companionship. The guard looks at the girls. There are many pictures of girls on the walls. Clearly, elves and dragons are not the only thing Altina has been forced to summon with her magic. The thought makes you ill. What if I don't like girls? You ask. Oh, that's no issue, the guard assures you. You see, my master only requires a willingness to comply. There is something about your nature that satisfies his needs. Tori lets out a squeal of surprise. You blush and admit to Tori that you totally stream visual novels and dating sims all the time. You're that kind of streamer. But that doesn't mean it's okay in real life. You protest. That's fiction. So is this, the guard says. He takes a photo off. Okay, none of that is anything. Try again. I think your kind enjoy getting a bit carried away with reality and fantasy, the guard tells you. You've heard enough. Although, you're not entirely sure how you're going to get through the multiple layers of bulletproof glass to reach the guard. You try playing your flashlight out the doors again to attract a dragon, but the Madagascar dragon is very occupied with the German park ranger on the roof. No help is coming. If you help us escape, you say to the guard, I'll make it worth your while. The guard just laughs nastily. Ordinary people like you don't make deals with occultists. Don't you watch the news? We make pacts with demons all the time. What, so you're a twin? What, so you're a bitch? You say? The guard's nasty smile sets rigid. He leans forward just enough so you can see the outline of his pistol grip on his waist and the deadly, bulky shape just below it. I'm well aware what you did to the dragon. You seem to be an expert on killing things. Perhaps you'll do it again, he says. What? No, I didn't kill a dragon. Bitch, you add. Demon bitch. Little wussy. Little mortal foil of immortal designs. You have no will of your own and are just an instrument of the grand dance. You're dumb. Your frown turns to a sneer as you look down at your hostage. Yeah. None of that makes a lot of sense. I'm like, a low growl comes from the guard. I'm warning you, he says, suddenly in your face. The next word out of your mouth had better be deal. Deal, you say, rolling your eyes. Fuck, deal. Good choice, the guard says. Fuck your deal. You clarify and rub your middle finger all over the bulletproof glass to taunt him even more. You're praying that you can drive the guard to such a distracting anger that he will come in after you. Maybe he'll even shoot himself. Alright, that's nothing. So far, it seems to be working. The guard turns from you and roars inarticulately. Deal? Deal? I'll give you a deal. I'll let your useless friend, Tori, live if you go out there. He points at the balcony. He wants you to throw yourself off the terrace and die. Fine. You throw open the glass doors as Tori gasps and climb up on the railing. You better keep your word. You shout back at the guard. I don't lie. Much, he replies with a cold look. You climb over the railing and onto the narrow edge of the balcony. From here, you can see the entire park laid out before you like a scale model. It makes you dizzy to look at it, but that's fine. So apparently I'm like on the 20th floor, not the second floor. Maybe the second floor is just really high up. It's like there's a first floor, and that first floor is about 200 feet high, and then the second floor is the penthouse. You dramatically extend your arms and drop off the edge. Unseen by the guard, you fall right onto the terrace below. Amazingly, you survive the fall. It hurts like hell, but not as much as when you roll down the sloped roof to thud into the middle of the courtyard. Ha! You laugh. Fuck your deal! They think you're dead now. And that gives you an advantage. You sneak back into the hotel, avoiding the security cameras and making your way back up to the top. This time, you go all the way to the roof. You have one more jump to go before you can make it back to the balcony where Tori is hiding. From here, you can see the parked helicopter that the guard mentioned earlier. Okay, let's ignore all of that. On the roof, you sneak up to the park ranger as he tussles with the Madagascar dragon, tapping him on the shoulder. May I borrow a gun? You ask. He whirls around and trips, accidentally shooting himself in the head. Oops. You arm yourself with your choice of rifle, a pistol, and several rounds of ammo for each, and crouch behind a ventilation unit to think things through. You fish the key card from the park ranger's belt. Say a prayer for the really stupid man who just died in front of you, and slip into the ventilation units before the Madagascar dragon can spot you. You slip slide down the hall to the entrance of Suite, what was it, 658? Yep, 658. 658, and slide the key card into place. Thankfully, they have the big ventilation units that are human-sized. The door hisses open. None of that, you know what? None of that is true. Retry that. Retry that. I may just have to do it. Retry. Click here to view the secret text. Because at this point, I am at the point... Yeah. Okay, here we go. To the entrance of Suite 658 and slide the key card into place. The light turns green. You hear the blissful click. In other words, it just tells me it works. And now it'll let me declare. So, whatever. At this point in the story, I'm more willing to just enforce my own will. Because we're in the final countdown here. I no longer need AI Dungeon throwing too much random chaos. Although... Park Ranger shooting himself in the head was pretty fun. So, inside you discover the bodyguard is on the phone talking to his master. Surprisingly, it isn't Mr. Zoll. You shoulder the rifle, training it on the bodyguard's back as you sneak up behind him and look at who is on the screen. The master is... Let me feed it a line, like Zlatan would be good. Yeah, I'm just going to say, is Zlatan the loudmouthed man who insisted dragons should eat everyone? In hindsight, that was blatantly obvious that Zlatan would be behind it all. I'm hoping for dialogue. I may have to prompt that as well. He's taking too long, the bodyguard says. I'll go check. No sooner are the words left his lips, you fire at the screen and it explodes into glass. Before he can do anything, you've pumped several rounds into him as his face screws up in pain. Strangely, you don't feel all that bad about it. Maybe it's because you've seen several people killed in front of you in the last 24 hours. Maybe it's because the bodyguard tried to murder you. But whatever the reason, your shoulder hurts more than your heart. You just shot a guy and killed him. You just shot a guy and maimed him. That's cool. You kick the bodyguard's gun out of his hand and free Tori from the bulletproof prison. Retry that. We don't need that. You came back for me, she says. Of course I did. Now, let's... You trail off, not ready to say the words yet, and turn to the titanium door. Let's just keep going with this. You swipe the key card again, and the door opens to reveal her, the goddess, the artist, the magician, what the fuck was her name? Altina? Altina. You've loved her from afar And now she's in front of you. Hey. Oh, wait, what? Naked! Hey, she smiles. You train your gun on her, knowing this must be some sort of trick. Altina? Last time I checked, she says sarcastically. She sounds oddly American for an elven princess. You're, naked? You say? She covers her breasts and genitalia and turns around. A moment later, magic... I'm just going to say magic a maroon robe, which she puts on. Better? Your ears tear up. Yes, I knew you cared, she says. She has an odd sense of humor. Then again, she's also been a prisoner for years and forced to do terrible things with magic. Also, she's an artist, and all artists are oddballs. You shake it off and look at Tori. So, you're going to switch places with magic? Yep. You can lower the gun now. Okay. Let's refresh that. Okay. Yep, I'll be in immense pain for a moment, but it'll be worth it, she says. As for you two, well, you have a long road ahead of you, if you even make it. You clear your throats and hug her before stepping back. Tori and Altina take each other's hands. What happens next is hard to describe. They both begin to shimmer, like they're ghosts, but you can see objects pushing against them as they move through the room. Then there's a flash and it's over. They're both in front of you. But you can tell something has changed. Where Altina had been larger than life, almost glowing with inner power, that power now resides in Tori. And she looks down at the gun you hold, then back up with that twisted smile. I told you. You'd have a way to kill me. Shit. Well, if you're gonna kill me anyway, I can at least make this interesting. Her posture changes. She begins walking towards you with confidence and power. You feel a force knock the gun out of your hand. Do it, she says with authority. I dare you. I double dog dare you. If you don't kill me, I'm going to kill you. How about it? Do it! You realize she's trying to force your hands, even as you pull the pistol out of the back of your pants and reluctantly lift it up. She's begging to be killed. I hate you! I have no other words for you, but if you love me, you'll do it! She demands, kill! The magical force is fucking her up. You can tell that now. You can see that now. She's losing her mind under the influence of all that power. You can't wait any longer. You can't even say goodbye. All you can do is pull the trigger. You shoot Tori. You shoot her in the breastbone. She staggers back. Fucking... She coughs out as she staggers back and collapses into a sitting position. Stuff that isn't gonna be true. I'm sorry, you whisper, lowering the gun. Where does it hurt? Everywhere. My head hurts. Her eyes are glancing around and she's not focused. The glow around her is getting softer, like a dying fire. Then her body goes slack and her eyes roll back into her skull. The glow disappears. The magic is gone. Outside, you hear a strange whumph of imploding air as dragons and elves all around the islands dissolve, no longer bound by magic to this plane of existence. And before you, Tori herself disappears, folding in on herself in the beat of an eye. Other than blink of an eye, the beat of a heart, and I was not getting the right phrasing, and I do not want to stand on ceremony there. Nothing is left but a bloody clothing and gun laying in the dirt. Nothing at all. You slowly walk through the halls. You're heading towards the sound of clinking metal. Your legs are weak, your stomach's in knots. You're desperately trying not to vomit. Altina is there beside you, helping you get out the back. You head through the waning rain towards the docks. The speedboats will be there in 10 minutes. From the silence, you can tell there aren't too many ED? There aren't too many environmental dragons rushing around anymore. You were always told they like to travel in packs, but you haven't seen another one since you got onto the island. Creatures are probably all committing suicide now that the sorceress is dead. None of that makes sense, but it's close enough I'm going to just roll with it. You reach the docks and see someone standing there. The person who was going to take the speedboats all along. It's Ben, in that goddamn Hawaiian shirt of his. He smiles when he sees you. There you are. I was wondering when you get up here. Altina, your mom is on the phone. She says it's urgent and that you need to call her as soon as possible. Your eyes widen, as do Altina's. The repercussions of what Ben has just said shocks you to your core, and you sit down dazedly. He helps you up, and you all move towards the speedboats. It's time to get the hell off the island. But clearly, your adventure is far from over. The AI doesn't know what to say. The end. Camera pans upwards, clearly on a dolly, drone, or helicopter. gaining altitude and watching as a speedboat moves away from the island. Mr. Zoll and the other businessmen are all safe, probably, save for those who were eaten. But not only do they have a lot of questions to answer from the numerous families and allies of the eaten guests, they have no more theme park. There are no more elves. There are no more dragons. They have just lost their ticket out of here. And Altina is no longer magical, so they can't do a goddamn thing with her, even if they get her back. But they'll probably try anyway. So to wrap things up, let's see. Top 10 ways you could have gotten into Suite 658 if you'd tried them. Number 10. The brazen bravery of your Knuckles idea. The sad story of your dad's death idea. The sneaky unauthorized access idea. The fake tragedy of your anticipated loss idea. Just like calling the sob story through the thing. The bait of using yourself as the victim idea. The ruse of common room. The drunken chance of their conscience. The surprising connection of yours and their mom, also known as the Martha approach. Or was it Marcia? No, it must have been Martha. The price of your computer and your geekiness idea. And the number one way to get into Suite 658, the bribe of your jewels, wallet, and stupidness idea. You have killed. Check out the general stats page for character names and more information. Top 10 bizarre elven dishes you can order with room service. Number 10. Ooh. But, I like cats. The blossoming cat young, cooked until it blossoms. The goldfish tidbits, fried and served in a tiny golden bowl. The rose milk infused with fairy dust. The mother's soup made from firstborn children. The laughing mater mushroom omelet. The ickle bean, a leguminous creature with healing properties. The singing sourbird dish prepared via singing. The never-ending gourmet soup, so named because it is never empty. The mother-in-law tun sweet and sour, served on mother-in-law tun leaf. And the number one elven dish you can order with room service, the infinitely delicious cake because it is not actually edible. The purpose of the infinitely delicious cake is... It must be just made of fondant. It's just fondant from the core out. It's to prevent gluttony. Mortals are weak and stupid with no self-control. Every time you have the chance to order the infinitely delicious cake, the mortal in you says, "What could one bite hurt? Just one tiny bite, I promise." Then you bite into it, and your jaw fucking explodes. "What the hell did you put into this cake?" you scream at the elven gourmet. "Teeth!" the elf proudly responds. "Teeth and eyes of my enemies, ground down fine and mix into the batter." And with those words, your eyes and last tooth fall out. It's the perfect diet plan. You have killed one fairy in 10 tries. Try again? Yes or no? In lands far, far away, where the fair folk go to dance their merry dances and to sing their songs, their eyes sparkled like the dew that hangs upon the veil. And oh, the tales I could tell of pranks they've played. But I won't, because the stream is ending. As a young boy, I was taken to their revels and joined in their dance. Laughs and joy I had known till the sun had drenched the sky. But then, unexpectedly, my sister and nigh all the dances stopped, and so soon after my return of it, then break of day provoked, to hear my mother's screams and the sobs of all maids in the courts. Promised my sister back, but they never returned her. I wonder what this did to her mind. And here I sit by a stream, penning sad rhymes of those long gone days. That didn't rhyme at all. That may be the saddest thing about it.